Hi guys, my name is Adarsh Thomas, and my biofuel video assignment is Grease to Green, revolutionizing energy with sustainable biodiesel. For a short introduction, fossil fuels have had a lot of indirect and direct harmful effects towards us, such as global warming, degrading of the ozone layer, and so much more that is imperative to make the world more green in order to make a sustainable Earth for the future generations. Therefore, for a little bit of background, I decided to use biodiesel. Biodiesel is a sustainable and renewable alternative fuel source. The diesel fuel itself is made of other alternative sources such as vegetable oil or animal fats or other fats. And by using this fuel, it reduces greenhouse emissions and has less air pollution in comparison to petroleum-based diesel. For cultivation and production, the fuel itself is a vegetable and or animal fuel substitute. However, for its production, there's a process called esterification, and this is a process in which fats and oils are converted to biodiesel and glycerin. To create it, a short-chain alcohol is added with a catalyst to create biodiesel and glycerin. In terms of respiration, fermentation, photosynthesis, the process of producing this fuel doesn't use these processes. For development status, I'm going to go over the history. The history was that it was developed in the mid-1930s in Belgium by scientists who wanted to split the oil into methyl esters. Availability was that due to scientific innovation, biodiesel is readily available all throughout the United States. And some incentives would be all petroleum fuel that we use currently has a proportion of biodiesel within the diesel itself as it's a requirement by law. The carbon footprint impact is burning 1 gallon of biodiesel saves 2,661 grams of CO2 emitted. Driving 1 mile on biodiesel saves about 404 grams of CO2 emitted. And per million British thermal units, which is BTU, and this is due to the fact that this study and this graph is taken from a British study, is about 162.8 pounds of CO2 is saved when emitted. For economic impact, there's two main things that I want to stress here, is that there's a reduced fossil fuel usage, which means less money would be spent on fossil fuels and more output per gallon of fuel would be produced. Also, less global warming as less fossil fuels are being combusted into the air and degrading the ozone. And with that, since it's cheaper to use these alternative fuels, less money would be spent on fossil fuels and more income can be saved and spent on other household necessities or trips or whatever the money left can be deemed for. For public biofuels awareness, for this one, generally speaking, most of the public are in support of using biofuels, especially biodiesel, as their main energy source. However, most drivers and people are not informed well about this issue. So we have kind of a conflicting study here in that in one study of Spanish drivers, it turns out that if biodiesel was the same price as normal fuel and more widespread, more drivers would refuse to use it. So in short, there's a give and take here. Most people don't have a straight or yes or no answer. They just do not care enough because they already have other fuels available. So analysis, based on the research provided, my conclusion is that it's just not being advertised enough. Our fuels are not being advertised enough because everybody's so used to petroleum-based fuel. We don't really care about the environment so much, or we don't stress that the environment is dying because of our choices. Therefore, if funding wasn't an issue, I'd increase advertising for biodiesel, then use more incentives such as tax brackets, cheaper access to goods to really incentivize switching to biodiesel. And then I'd slowly introduce more cars that only use biodiesel and then have celebrity marketing. And after that, remove gas emissions cars to the point where they're obsolete in our society. For sources, here are my sources, and thank you for listening.